start off everything letting people know I am a full-fledged Black American. Okay, no immigrants in my family whatsoever. All right, I'm a Black American. My mother's a Black American, her family, her mother, all of that stuff, all down the line. All right, this is the country that my ancestry built. My ancestors, rather, built the country from scratch. Okay, so this is a perspective I'm coming with. I'm coming with the perspective that my people have been through and are currently going through a whole bunch of struggle right now that gets overlooked, gets ignored. And to be very honest, all of these other groups of people, all these other communities, they kind of jump in on the oppression of Black people and the assault of Black people and the disrespect of Black people. And they have no problem with it. They have no problem siding against Black people, whether that's siding against reparations, siding against the fight against police brutality, siding against or keeping us economically disenfranchised. They make no effort to collaborate. None of these people. I'm not just talking about Hispanics. I'm talking about immigrants in general. From a Black American's perspective, the amount of fighting that we have put in Black America to fight for other groups of people, not just coming to America, but even outside of America, never, ever gets reciprocated. It doesn't. Okay? It does not get reciprocated. And yet every single time, another group of people get on here, another group of people have any issue, they're sitting up there like, Black Americans, it's time for us to ignore all of the things that we've been through and work together now. Now, somebody in the chat room is saying they don't think that anybody's asking y'all to fight. That's not true. There are several people, not on just this app, but on Twitter and all that. When we say, you know what, we're out of this fight, they're all like, oh my God, how could you do that? Okay. Everybody acts so betrayed when we say we're going to mind our own business. Yet we have to just accept the fact that we're going to be by ourselves when it's a situation that does not benefit them. When it's a situation that doesn't benefit these other groups of people, we have to just accept the fact that we're going to be by ourselves, that nobody else is going to come and help us. Nobody else is going to even side with us. Not just physically help as far as protesting or being there present or donating or anything. They're not even going to agree. As a matter of a fact, they're going to openly disagree with anything that's going to benefit us that doesn't also benefit them at the same time. And the second they need something, they want to ask for help. No. As far as us running around and acting like we're the Avengers who are supposed to be saving the world, that's over with. And let me tell you something. As you're coming up, make sure you mute yourself, please. Let me tell you something. Black America is not going to be respected. Our ethnicity, our lineage, our ethnic group is not going to be respected if we are out here giving stuff away and don't demand any reciprocity. We are giving away energy, time, advocacy that we do not expect to receive in return. That's not going to be reciprocated. And because it's not going to be reciprocated, we're going to lose respect. Black folk got our own issues. These ICE protests are not our issues. Not for Black America. No, it's not. Now, if you want to disagree, we'll listen to that opinion. We'll let you come up if you want to actually voice the concern and you want to make the argument about how this is our issue. I'd like for you to make that argument. But there are people out there who have agendas. Hold on.
You're talking the whole truth, but nothing but the truth.
Thank you, brother. Let me
Pablo Picasso.
Appreciate you. But let me let BX, that's our mod, set the decorum of the room, because in the rooms we have here, we like to have decorum. We like to allow everybody to be able to speak, be fair to everybody's time. And there are rules that we have established so we can have a civilized and adult conversation about this. So BX, she's going to set the decorum of the room, and then we're going to get to some of the speakers.
Right. Okay. Hi, Afro. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Okay. So when you come up on the panel, please immediately go on mute until directed to speak. When you're directed to speak, please state your race and ethnicity. This is something we ask of everybody. So I just want to say this. Black American slash African American is an ethnic group. It's my ethnic group, it's Afro's ethnic group. If you are a first, second, third generationer, ask friendly in the chat too. These type of talks kind of get heated, so I'm gonna try to stay on my mic, and I'm gonna try to ask you if somebody is speaking to please stay on your mic until you are asked to either give your input to what they said or after they finish speaking, you say, okay, I want to respond. I believe I touched everything for now. Oh, continuously like and share, y'all. We want to keep engagement, push the platform into the algorithm so more people can join. Also, press the heart by Afro Elite's name and complete the daily mission. It only costs like a coin or two to complete the daily mission. That'll help him get up in the rankings too. So if you like what you hear, just please like and share. And okay, let's have this discussion.
All right. So the first person who came up to speak was um, Charcoal. So what do you have to say about the prompt?
Yeah, bro. So I heard everything that you had to say in your monologue, and bro, I really don't agree with that. You know what I mean? And I think, and part of the reason why I don't is because if you recall
I didn't hear
2020.
race and ethnicity.
Yeah, I do. I totally
Okay.
actually did forget about that.
Okay. Well, my name is. I'm sorry. I'm
I mean, you
African
just your
American.
race and ethnicity for context of where you're coming from.
Yeah. So I'm African American. I was born and raised here, and I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Like, are you Latino? Are you Black
No,
American?
no, no.
Like,
I'm black. I'm
what's your ethnicity?
100% black. I'm not. What you? I don't know what ethnicity. Like I'm black. I'm African American. Both my parents are black.
Right. Okay. So your race is Black and your ethnic group. Your family was here since the descendant of U.S. chattel slavery in the United States of America.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you.
Okay, you disagree?
Yeah, the reason why I disagree is because if you remember 2020, all of the protests, the BLM protests, those were not 100% BLK. There were a lot of people from all races, all backgrounds out there marching alongside us. I was participated in several marches, and it doesn't take firsthand you being there. You can just pull up the videos to see that. And then the other thing I'd like to say is, if we ignore this fight and say this not our problem, you know what I mean? Like, that's how we lose a democracy. That's how we get silenced. You understand what I mean? We should all be standing together. You know what I mean? And so, the proof that this fight is not just their fight, that it's all of our fight collectively as a minority, is to reflect on what happened in 2020. It's
Okay.
not just a lot of BLK people who actually sat home while it was YT people out there marching on our behalf. So, you know what I mean? We just got to keep that in mind. That's it.
Okay. Well, let me say this though. Let me say this. A lot of people, and I was now in Chicago. There's a lot of Hispanics. There's a lot of black people. It's really around a fair amount of black people, Hispanics, an equal amount of black people and Hispanics in Chicago. So when I was down there, because I was protesting in 2020, and I saw Hispanics there too. So I'm not going to sit up here and deny the fact that they were there and they were present. I do feel like it's a false equivalence to compare ICE protesting against ICE and then protesting against police brutality of black people. Because if you look at the numbers, they also, the Hispanic community do have a gripe against police brutality as well. Not as much as we do. Nobody does as much as we do, but they have their own gripe against police brutality. Police brutality is really an issue across the board. All right. So it's not like they were fighting on our behalf on an issue that doesn't affect them. So let's just put that in the context of, it's not like they're all like, well, this doesn't affect us, but we're going to fight on their behalf. So that's not what they were doing. Now, when it comes to other things that they wouldn't be a part of or they wouldn't receive, such as reparations and things like that, they're never there for that fight. As a matter of fact, in Chicago, the very same city where they were protesting alongside black people, and we want to give them so much credit for, in the very same city, when we were going, and I was there present, talking to the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, about reparations, you had Hispanics come up there and argue against us receiving reparations the same way they did in California. And it seems like every time we have a thing in New York as well too, every time we have a thing about reparations, the Hispanic community comes up out of nowhere and says, hey, no, we ain't doing that. Don't give them no reparations. So it seems as if, and I'm glad you brought it up, because when we put it into context, when it's something that they can also benefit from, they'll be there. But when it's something that we benefit from, they actually work against us. Somebody brought up Nora Martinez. So that's one thing. Another thing too, every single country has immigration laws, not just America, Mexico, all of these other places. Now, if you come to a country, you have to follow the immigration laws of the country. If you break the law, if you overstay your visa, they will come and they will remove you. Only in America are we acting like that's some type of injustice. Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, bro, I understand what you're saying, but number one, us as a community, no one is on the same page as it pertains to reparations. Like, we don't hear people talking about it. The only time we hear people talking about it is during election season. It's time to vote in politicians when we know that issue is not going to be on the ballot. Like, that issue will never be on the mainstream ballot because nobody cares about reparations for BLK people. Like, let's just put that out there. And then the other thing,
but okay.
In term, come on, like when else?
But I'm listening. I'm not going to try to cut you off because I'm going to let you, because I know people lose their train of thought when they get cut off. So I'm not trying to do that. So I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the only time people hear about reparations is when we're trying to put our energy behind a candidate that we want to elect, and we know that it's not going to happen. Like, there has to be a movement outside of us putting our faith in in an elected politician about reparations. No one is on the front lines in our community really fighting for reparations day in and day out. Like, I don't hear about it until this election season. And then on the other, and then about the whole thing about, you know what I mean, the other people, Hispanics or whatever, fighting against. Come on, bro. You know that's not true, bro. You know that's not true.
I was there. What do you mean? I know it's not true.
One moment, Pablo. 1 minute, Pablo. Okay. So, Chaco, just because you don't see or you don't know or you don't hear does not mean it's not happening. Different reparations commissions and things like that are popping up throughout the nation, right? Evanston, Illinois did actually issue out a form of reparations to their population for what happened to their residents. So you had Cali still fighting for theirs. New York, Georgia, Detroit is picking up. Just started. That's about to start.
What are you doing to join the fight?
So,
yeah, but
hold on. 1 minute.
Other states should pay for that.
We're keeping an order here. Okay. So I'm answering his misinformation that nobody cared until election time. That's not the case. We have reparationists. Okay. And the way we self-identify is changing too. We have activists that making it more for us, because a lot of this stuff is get people all mixed up too. So we have activists that you're just not aware of. You're just not tapped in. So as far as reparations, you're looking at these big time politicians such as the president and stuff, but you forget their state level and all of that. And we have reparations actively working in various states to get us a form of reparations. For the harm that was committed to our. Name what? I just gave you New York.
Name an activist.
Hold on, BX, because this is a bad
name
faith.
An activist.
Stop, dude. Because you're arguing in bad faith. Now you're trying to belittle that there is a movement.
I'm not trying to belittle
reparations in order to kind of excuse away the fact that there have been Hispanics in multiple states that have been opposed to us getting reparations. So and you can't argue against that. So what you're trying to do is belittle the fact that there is even a movement for reparations, which
I'm not trying to belittle the fact
knows that there is. So we're not going to do that because you're really losing the argument. This is disingenuous.
No, but the point that I'm trying to make is that we cannot independently tie one specific person to pushing the movement forward about reparations.
I'm not, listen.
That movement is really only hinged upon a certain politician, whether it be Bernie Sanders, whether it be whoever in the moment.
Marcel
But
Dixon.
we cannot identify.
Marcel Dixon is a politician who
I mean, of course you just
advocates for
Googled it, but you
reparations
couldn't
for
name one.
foundational
I mean, of
Black
course you just Googled it,
Americans.
ma'am. Yeah,
I
but
just
ma'am, you
Googled it. Okay, you don't
You
know
know
who
absolutely,
I am.
because you can answer it in a moment.
Right?
Come on,
Stop.
let's be real.
You're gonna stop. You're gonna
You're gonna stop
Don't
because
say
a
so,
lot of
okay?
people are familiar with me, so they
'Cause
know
we're
who
gonna-
I am.
Okay.
They know what I do, and they know I know my stuff. Okay.
You need to tell the white people
So
to pay
first of
reparations.
all, I'm gonna tell you to get off the stage until you learn how to stay on your mic, ma'am. We're addressing charcoal. So in case you don't know, I just gave you various states of places that are having their reparations hearings and stuff. You think didn't know who Marcel Dixon was? That I needed Google? I don't
Yes,
need
I
Google,
do
sir.
think
I'm
that
not
because you
you.
couldn't
I'm
think it
not
about.
you.
Okay, well, I'm not
I'm not
saying
you.
that you had
Let me
never
ask
heard
you
of
this.
them.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
What point
Yes,
are you
sir.
trying to make? Why you're trying to dismiss or belittle that there is a movement for reparations? What point are you trying to make with that? As far
The
as
point that I'm trying to make, the point that I'm trying to make is I'm not dismissing the fact that she, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that she didn't know who Marcel was. It was not at the forefront of her mind, and that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that we cannot tie one particular
So
person
who are you
at the
Hold on,
top
hold
of
on.
our head.
have something you
He asked me a
want
question.
at the forefront of my mind?
Okay.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry, Afro, because he's and
I
after
know,
he
but let's,
finished, yeah, we can
because
move
I want to get
forward
to
after he
everybody
finished.
else, and there's people who want to speak. So you're saying that
The
I'm
only
trying
point that I was trying to make is that the movement of reparations for Black people is not as massive as we're trying to make it out to be. I don't think that Marcel was at the tip of her tongue when I asked who is a person that is an activist that's fighting for reparations. She couldn't give me an answer until she went on mute for about 90 seconds and then probably researched one. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. We only tie the conversation of reparations to a candidate during election season. That's what I'm talking about. And I don't think that nobody on this panel is doing anything to push the movement forward about reparations either. So we do a lot of talking, but there's no action behind it. And I'm
Okay, I want
tired.
you to stop talking, and I want you to read the comments. That's telling you I know my stuff.
and
Sir, I
I
don't
was
know
actually
you. I
in
don't need to
DC.
answer at your beck and call. And
Hold
Afro
on.
Elite is actually an activist too.
I was actually in DC last summer for Juneteenth, giving a whole speech about reparations on a panel of other people, including Marcel Dixon, who also gave a whole panel. There was a whole rally about reparations. The second one, actually. There's been rallies, there's been protests, there's been committee meetings and stuff like that outside of an election season about reparations. Now, what he's doing, we're going to move on to the next person, but what he's doing is he's trying to dismiss or belittle the movement for reparations so he can hide the fact that Hispanics are against it. Notice he's not saying that. Notice he's not saying that Hispanics being against reparations is a big deal. He's just saying, well, reparations ain't a big deal. No, reparations is a big deal. And there has been several polls, and every single one of those polls, Hispanics, primarily, whether it's in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles, vote against reparations. All right. So this isn't one or two people, and we're just judging the whole group off one or two people. We're saying that based off the polling of these areas, the Latinos vote against us receiving reparations. All right. So we don't even have to continue that part of the conversation where you're trying to be a contrarian to how big the movement is.
Can I speak?
That has nothing to do with ICE anyway.
No, you
Can I
just
speak
came on
now?
the panel, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Yeah, you were the last
came on the
person to come
panel.
up. So
I
now,
haven't even talked.
yeah, but you were the last
Oh, I
person to come
know.
up, and there's been like 5 other people who haven't spoken. So we're gonna get to
Okay.
what how do you pronounce it? Pablo?
Box of text.
Pablo.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so I'm Black and Puerto Rican. My mother's from the South. My dad's from Puerto Rico. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Mm.
Now, one thing that I want to say, I've been to California, and I noticed, like in New York, Blacks and Puerto Ricans have grown up together. They've been in each other's home. They eat together. They've always been through the struggle. I'm talking about past time from Malcolm X. Okay. Now, when I went to California, it was a whole different scene. Brothers can't go to some parts of East LA because you ain't coming out of there if you're a brother. I don't understand what this guy's talking about, but I know when I've been there many times in LA, there Latinos can't even blacks can't go into certain areas of Latinos. You know what I'm saying? Number two, number one is look, they have a lot of businesses out there because they're getting funded by a lot of stuff, a lot of money, you know, illegal. Okay. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, they don't hire black folks in their stores or their supermarkets or nothing. You never see them. They talk about us in a funny way, and it's funny because it's a big difference from the East Coast to the West Coast. They don't be rocking with the blacks. It's like they shit. You know what I mean? Like they don't. Not only when they need something. So what I want to say to y'all is, I don't know. He's from LA. He's been living all of his life. He's telling me, oh, he couldn't go into certain blocks. He knows. Sometimes you can't even date their daughters. Now, you know, you go to New York, you could date a Puerto Rican girl because parents are gonna be like, yo, that's what she loves. That's what she's with. You know what I mean? We ain't judging him, but I noticed that a lot of Mexicans don't like blacks in California. They don't. They don't get along. They don't rock each other. I know plenty of Mexican blacks that speak Spanish in New York fluently because they've been in the Puerto Rican house. We fed them. We sat down with them. We talked. We all black anyhow. It doesn't matter. We're all black.
Okay, stop,
Okay.
sir. Stop. You see the BX in my name? That stands for Bronx. We can live
Okay.
in
I'm from
close
Brooklyn.
proximity. We can live in close proximity to all these other ethnic groups, including Puerto Ricans, and still not get along. You are romanticizing the relationship that we have had with the Latino population. Because as an older foundational Black American, I can tell you that it wasn't always peaches and cream, like you're saying. So, can I have a Latino friend? Yes. But collectively, are the Puerto Ricans for Black Americans? No, they're not. They do not know how to respect cultural boundaries. You see your boy Fat Joe up there talking about he can say the N word and no one's going to stop him. Then he comes out, he attacks FBA,
Mhm.
but what he didn't
Because
know
we
was
grew
that
up with
one
the same
moment,
Stop.
shit.
one moment.
You
Don't
was
get
full of shit
upset.
from the Bronx.
Don't get upset. Because
Okay,
if you
you're
read
full of
the
it.
chat, if you read the chat, there's other New Yorkers saying that you're
I'm
lying.
from the
That the
Brooklyn. The Bronx has
No,
relationship,
always been
no,
a
but here,
mess.
and this is why, hold on, as the host is speaking, this is why when we come up, we ask for race and ethnicity. Because when people are bi-ethnic, they're gonna have a different angle approaching the situation. I'm not. I'm 100% foundation Black American. So is BX here. So our relationship with these people are different. You're gonna have a bias because you just said you're part Dominican or you're half Dominican. So yeah, you're gonna have a bias when it comes to the Latino side because that's a part of your family. So you're not gonna see the racism from the Latinos the way we see it and we experience it. All right. So when we are coming up with our experience, when we're talking about our experience, it's not for you to dismiss that because that's not gonna be your experience.
right? And so the poll, Apple's correct when he says the poll, right? So all these races and ethnic groups were polled on reparations and if Black Americans deserve reparations. And over half of the population polled said no. Latinos are included in that number. Um,
But
so
do we
here's the
really
thing.
believe the polls? Those
One
are the
moment,
same polls that
Charcoal,
said Kamala
Charcoal,
was going to win and she
Charcoal,
didn't win.
Charcoal. Let me
So
land.
Stop,
you bringing up
Charcoal.
Who?
polls.
Stop it.
Let me land.
Lie, man.
So
She's from
here's
the
the thing.
Bronx.
I need exactly. And you know what happens when I tell the
Is
truth of the Bronx?
you know,
Hold on,
nobody
hold
messes
on.
with the
I
Bronx.
need
Nobody messes with the
If you
Bronx.
don't
It's
stop, you're
dirty
gonna
over
get me
there.
removed.
Let's keep it
You're
Miss
gonna
real.
get me
BX
removed.
can
Well,
talk
I'm just keeping it real.
everybody.
Nobody messes with the Bronx.
No,
Nobody deals
BX,
with the
the
Bronx.
I'm gonna
It's,
person.
remove you. I'm gonna remove you. I don't
Well,
have to do
the
it.
remove me.
Bronx
Why?
is the last borough standing. Brooklyn is gentrified up the a-hole. So is Harlem.
because
The
it's gentrified
BX
now. It
is the
wasn't like that
last
before.
borough standing. And if it wasn't for the Bronx, New York wouldn't have a leg to stand on because it's the birthplace of hip hop, as we know it, the five elements of
Oh,
the
so now
order.
it would have never been. Come
Yes,
on, she
sir.
doesn't even make
Put
sense.
some and the way that you say, the way that you was up here saying blacks is cringy. especially if you're around black people. So you're just like charcoal. You was laughing when I was talking to him, but it wasn't so sweet when I was talking to you. So the truth of the matter, my people, is even in a diverse place such as New York, you can live in close proximity to these people. It does not make you them. So Puerto Ricans are not allowed to say the N word around me. But the problem is they don't respect cultural boundaries as far as foundational Black Americans
Hmm.
are concerned. We have had so many fights between us and the Latinos that the first truth was called in the 80s when the Bronx was burning. Okay, and the president was visiting to view the condition. Reagan was the president. Okay, we have always fought against them for certain things. And this year is no different. He's romanticizing it. Others romanticize the relationship. I'm not saying every day we're fighting, but we know that collectively they're not for us. They're not. Now, do I have individual Latinos as friends? Yes. Do I have Caribbean individuals as friends? Yes. But let me tell you something about Congress over there. They're getting everything passed for the Latinos and the Caribbeans, the Black immigrants, but nothing's coming down to the foundational Black Americans. And I researched the caucuses last night. So there's nothing specifically for foundational Black Americans. We're not an exclusive group. We don't get exclusive benefits the way the Black immigrants and the Latinos do. And that's a problem, sir, especially in New York. Because research Yvette Clark. So
Okay.
there's a whole lot of assuming going on that New York is this unified place. That's a lie. And when I say this on other platforms, we have people like him. If we would have let him keep going, he would have talked about how he would have hit me because Latinos are very, handsy with certain people when they don't like things.
Hmm.
I'm on the land because this ain't a black and this ain't a New York thing. It's a world
It
nationwide
is. It
issue.
is. And we're gonna move on. I'm gonna say this though. I'm gonna say this. We all know the relationship between Hispanics and Black Americans. We know this. Only when situations like this come up do we sit up here, or do we have dishonest Hispanics who come up here and act like we've all been kumbaya and chill. We just abandon them. Notice that. Notice that they come up and they be all like, I don't understand what the problem is. Okay. They know what they talk, how they talk about black people out in their homes. They know for a fact that black people keep saying we don't appreciate when Hispanics say the N word, and they will openly say we don't care, and they will say it regardless. And then when they need some help, they all like, I thought we was all friends. No, we're not doing that. All right. Now I do want to get to the hands. We got people who haven't spoken yet, so we're gonna get to Andrea.
That's right.
Hi, good night. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm
I hear. What's your race and ethnicity, please?
Jamaican, Jamaican American.
Okay.
Yes, and I agree with you 100%. And I agree with BX also too, because she's talking facts and it's the truth. And I am happy that you guys, I mean, I know you guys know this before, but I'm happy that you guys are coming out and seeing what other foreigners or other ethnic group are doing, because ain't nothing for BK American. You know what I mean? And I fed up of it. I am fed up, and it's not evil. I'm not from here. I'm an immigrant, and I don't agree with. In Jamaica, you gotta follow rules. We don't open up our border and let in anybody. They're gonna kick you out, and that's little Jamaica. Compared to there's rules and regulation. You gotta follow it. Do the right thing and be. BK don't have no business go protesting for what? I mean, I'm dark skinned, so they're not. When people look at me, they're not gonna think I'm Jamaican until I open my mouth. You know what I mean? So I see a lot of racism from all these, from the Indian group, from the Spanish. They don't like us. And I'm not gonna put my mouth down and say they don't fuck with us. So why we? And it's not, keep it civil, respect and everything. Hi, how you doing? And move on. But don't Black American have enough issues already? Let's focus on that instead of going, to go protest against rules and regulation, and that's what ICE is there for. So why this behavior? I see the disrespect with the flags and all of that. I mean, if you're gonna do all of that, why you don't go back home to where, if it's so good wherever, why come in a place? Why they don't do that in wherever they're from? They're not gonna do that because they're not gonna tolerate that. So why they do that in America? And that's my piece right there.
To add on to the last part you said, yeah, they're not going to tolerate that. Can you imagine if a bunch of Americans, especially Black Americans, imagine if we went to Mexico and we were waving the American flag and
Somebody said Jamaican are
the
next.
Mexican flag and waving the American flag in Mexico, saying we not going nowhere. Imagine what they would do. Just think about that for a second. While y'all acting like we tripping for not wanting to help, think about what they would do and their people. And notice they would not the citizens. They wouldn't advocate for us sitting up there waving a foreign flag and burning their flag and saying we not gonna leave. We gonna stay regardless because we want to. They wouldn't be advocating for us. Are y'all crazy? Come on now.
Exactly. Go there and try to protest over there and see what happened. They're not gonna be that nice. Even in Jamaica, they're not good. They don't put up with certain stuff like that. I see in the comment, I'm gonna be first. Number one, I don't do fear mongering crap that yeah. I'm indigenous. So the rules is rules. So obey it or get out. Like I don't understand what the crap is for. Y'all can do it to other country, so why do it in America? And that's fair. You make America look dumb and stupid, and everybody come here is living off the BK back BK American or lazy BK American, but y'all getting all the benefit and running with it. So I don't understand. So y'all need to back up.
Yep. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. Appreciate your take. Let's get to Sugar. Sugar, have you been with us before? You look familiar. I think you've been with us.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. Hey, everybody.
How you doing?
Thanks for having me up. I do know BK though. I think I seen her on somewhere.
Okay, yeah, like you look a little. Yeah, okay, all right. What's Yeah, I thought I saw you.
I agree with the Miss Lady who was just speaking, and Miss BK. I agree with the host BK, and I think it's Andrea. I'm sorry.
Sugar, one moment, Sugar. So you do look familiar. My name is DX, and also we need your race and ethnicity, please, for the room.
I'm black. I'm black. Yes.
Your
I was
ethnic group.
I, huh? I'm from California though. That's why we very proper here. No, but I'm black and um I was born in DC, but my people came to California when we was like children and stuff. But
Right.
my
Are you a descendant of U.S. chattel slavery?
yes, from on my dad's side, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, on my dad's side because you have your mom's side and you have your dad's side. So yeah. Yeah. Um I wanted to talk about how someone was talking about reparations. We got a California got a assembly bill they put on the books in 2020. So people in California have been fighting for reparations since 2020. Um they just came out with a task force, um state agency in California put it on a bill. So people in California, like when we feel like it ain't right, we actually get out on them streets, get the names, the addresses and phone numbers so we could put it on the books. That's how we got flowers legalized, if you know what I mean. I don't want to say it on here. Anytime it's a problem here, I because I've been here all my life, people go and put it on the books and so we could try to make it law. um and it's crazy because anytime we talk about reparations, it's just like no. And I'm like, wow, every other person got it. The Jews, the Japanese, they all got it. And I don't think people know the definition of reparations. Like it's basically wronging someone that you did wrong to, right? And I think people, when they think about it, they was like, oh, you're just gonna give them money, money, money. Nah, we didn't say nothing when they was migrating, flooding Texas, flooding New York. Um, the lady left out of Walmart, and the Hispanic person dropped their receipt. The lady picked the receipt up. That lady had like 5,000 in cash and 8,000 in food stamps. I'm like, wow. They were staying in them hotels in New York. That was costing those cities a lot of money. And on top of that, they kept on coming, this piling. Then they shipping them to Chicago. Shipping, like, this is strategic. Like, they were shipping them Chicago. They were shipping them to the major cities. And you got to ask yourself, well, why is that? You know? So I feel like it was strategic. They were shipping them to these cities and flooding these cities because it was a part of the coup they were setting up. I don't know. I just my thing, but that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Yeah, they were. And they was subsidizing them the whole way. They was paying them good the whole time. You know, giving them debit cards, free houses, free everything. Stuff we couldn't even imagine. When they tell us, when they say something, this always, well, we got to see, we got to vote, we got to come up with some bill, we got to do this, do that. They come over here. I'm talking about, it was just sign the check right here and you got it.
Right. They was paying their rent up for, like, gave them a place to live, paid their rent up for like a year. And then I have a problem too with how I've been seeing on TikTok or wherever, on social media. They keep saying they're hardworking people. Like, we're not hardworking people too. I don't get that. They say they're hardworking people. They're good people. We're good people too. We work hard too. So I don't get that narrative. They're hardworking people. We are too.
Mm-hmm.
They make it sound like, oh, they're hardworking people. And then the reason why they do that, because over there and where they're from, they get paid like $4. And then they come here and work and they got these little pay stations all over California where they could buy their little Telemundo card to call back home, send money back home. So I believe that the government, like, it's about the money too. The government, like, oh, y'all getting paid under the table. People say, yeah, they pay taxes, but not all of them do. And how you don't got a social security or ID, but you own a business and you own a house already. And my mama been here 70 years, and we just now buying a house. Mm-hmm. So yep. I just, like, make it make sense. But that's it.
Yep. And I do want to jump on that, but I'm gonna let other people speak, so we at least have everybody speaking first before we take too long. So let me get to my brother Vegeta, and then we're gonna get to ISIS.
Hey, what's good, Afro? It's been a while. Yeah, peace, y'all. From Cali too, but I also been,
I didn't know that you was from Cali. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I lived everywhere, so Cali, the South, the East Coast, but I always go back and visit. So I'm there, but at the same time, not from there, just because I live in different states and all that. But I always go back and visit. So when I do go back and visit, I always see things change all the time. Especially I realize that.
Race and ethnicity, please, for the room.
Oh, FBA.
Okay.
Do I gotta say the whole thing, or?
No, you good.
No.
All right. So what I noticed in California, it always changes from the population of the Mexicans are getting, greater and greater. Not only that, what they're actually trying to do is very disrespectful to our ancestors, or excuse me, not to our ancestors, but also to our elders who actually fought into the civil rights, because they're trying to, put their fists in the air the same way that we put our fists in the air. And the difference is that they're waving a flag that's not even the nation's flag. They're waving someone else's, another country's flag on top of that, which pretty much shows invasion, or that we're invading your space. And then not only that, they're standing 10 toes down against people who actually did illegal activities in their own country, which is, again, crossing the border illegally. And we can try to, talk with sympathy and empathy all we want, but they're still breaking a law because we have border control for a reason, to protect our nation for a reason, to prevent invasions. So I know it's kind of weird how there's a lot of black people who want to quote unquote pander to Mexicans or just Hispanic crew at all. At the same time, knowing that there's anti-blackness within those places as well, and the fact that they even was even more disrespectful is that they try to erase our history and say that it was built by immigrants. And what I'm pretty sure everyone on this panel who's an FBA knows that it was built by us. We are the ones who built America. Matter of fact, they want to change. They want to make us learn Spanish in their own quote unquote corporations, right? When the reality is that they live here and they live in America, where it's an English speaking country. And the fact is they're trying to debate on that, about whether we should speak English or not, which is again against disrespectful to our black history because of what we went through because we were forced to speak English. You don't have a choice now that you're here. So there's a lot more to say, but I'm pretty sure I don't want to sound like an echo chamber. Sugar made a lot of good points. Afro, of course, he made a lot of good points, pretty much what I was going to say anyway. But what they really need to understand is that they're actually defending people who are breaking the law, not people who are actually Americans who had their civil rights invaded. Big difference. I'll land.
That's the thing, and I'm gonna say this before we move on to ISIS. That's the thing when I hear people use the quote of Dr. King, which is so convenient that Dr. King fought for reparations and he advocated for reparations, and all of these people are opposed to reparations, and they only use Dr. King's quotes when it suits them and when it benefits them. Okay. When I hear people say things like an injustice somewhere is an injustice anywhere, okay? Or an injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, right? When I hear people say that, and I think to myself, I'm all like, so is getting deported the injustice? Is that injustice, getting deported? Because if that's injustice in America, it's injustice everywhere else in the world. But nobody makes the argument that that's unjust everywhere else in the world to get deported. Only in America is that now an injustice. And that's the thing. People can't really get behind it because, like, what is the injustice that you guys are fighting so hard against? Because getting deported is not that. Now let's get to ISIS. What do you have to? Well, first, what's your race and ethnicity, please, and then your opinion about the prompt.
Okay. Hey y'all. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm black. And also, well, I'm black and I'm Liberian. My dad's side of the family is Liberian. And so, but I grew up in America, born and raised. And so I've seen both sides of the spectrum, especially when my grandparents coming into the US through a missionary, they were given a very hard time just to get citizenship. And they were not they were forced to learn English and not even speak their native language for the longest time. And so when I look at what's going on now, especially as someone who moved from Chicago to California, I noticed a huge shift because when I was in high school, they were pushing all the students to learn Spanish. There were other languages that were offered, but they were saying, learn Spanish because this will help you get a job. This will open up doors. And I'm like, well, why can't I learn French? Why can't I learn Mandarin? Or, there's so many other languages. Why do we just push this? And so even just as someone who's worked in warehouse, I've worked in predominantly Latino, specifically Hispanic environments. I attended and graduated from a Hispanic serving institution. There were mostly conservative students. I was the only black student, and majority of my college courses in my school had less than 3% black students. And we had groups of students who were telling us to go back to Africa, that were telling us to shut up about us being the lower percentage in the school. They did not care about us at all. And then as soon as Trump ran for president, that was when other organizations started to reach out to us because I was a part of Black Student Union. And other organizations that would talk down on us reached out to us and they were like, hey, we want to work in coalition and, everyone's united. And I'm like, where was this when we were trying to get reparations too? When we were trying to get rights for black students and we were writing a list of demands, y'all said that, they literally, if you look up Cal State LA, Halisi housing, you look it up, you will see a bunch of Hispanic students saying that we were getting free housing. They were harassing us. And I was a resident assistant at the time. They were literally harassing us on campus, all the black students, and telling us like, oh, y'all trying to segregate us, y'all trying to bring segregation back. And we were like, how? We just want to live amongst each other. Because a lot of black students were having racist roommates. I had a roommate that literally sat there and patronized me and my other black roommate just because they thought we were stealing their food. None of their food was missing. And so I think that when people talk about like this false narrative of like a kumbaya, they're not really speaking from a place of reality, because even in Mexico to this day, that color caste system is in place.
Mm-hmm.
There are black people that go to Mexico and look at the areas where there are predominantly Africans, where there are dark people, and see how they get treated by their own people. I lived in Texas for like 4 or 5 years. And in Texas, I met darker skinned Mexicans that were darker than me. And they were only allowed to just come here to work and had to go back over the border. So people need to stop this. You know, we always cared about black people. That's a lie. Because even after Spanish colonial rule, y'all still kept us at the bottom. And then when we talk about Puerto Ricans don't like black people either. When I moved here, I had a Puerto Rican friend, and she told me that her family told her she could marry anyone but a black man. We never met her family. Only her white friends met her family because she was so embarrassed. And they didn't like Mexicans either. So I think it's very weird that people like only want to call on black people. And it's not even just Latinos, it's other communities too. If we really want to be quite frank, that call on the black people, but they'll talk down on us. They'll use the N-word. They'll listen to our music. They'll braid their hair. They'll do everything that has to do with black culture, but they never want to be with us when we are putting our lives on the line. And then the fact that they use Martin Luther King, they only mention him because he's one of the few one of the few people leaders that actually included other races in there. And even he said he was walking his people into a burning building. They don't talk about how Malcolm X and Booker T. Washington had a larger following than Martin Luther King Jr. just alone. So it's very weird to me that, you know, like I think it's unfortunate that it's happening, but I feel like this is something that we were already going through. When Obama was president, he had the most deportations, and most of them were black people. They were Africans, they were Haitians. I had a college friend who had to move back to Haiti because his whole family was deported during Obama's presidency when we were getting arrested for no reason. Still are, because they gave police full immunity. I don't see anybody speaking up about that. There's even pages. There was a trend on TikTok, and I'll just land with that. There was a trend on TikTok a couple months ago with Latinas, the ones that the black man here be going crazy over. The ones with the long nails, they were saying that they wear braids and they look better in black culture than black women. So it's just it doesn't make any sense that people are bringing up stuff, because I feel like I just get tired of black people always being brought up as if we're some type of savior. I feel like this is the time that we just sit back, because if the roles were reversed, people wouldn't care. They'll say go back to Africa.
That's true. If this was their country, they would not champion us being there at all. They'd be one of the main people trying to get us up out of there. And we all know this. But I want everybody to get a chance to speak. Before you do that, I'm gonna say something. This was a while ago. My younger sister I don't know why she asked me this question. We was watching some type of show or commercial or something like that, and she was like, "There are black people in Mexico." I was like, "Yeah, actually, there are a lot of black people in Mexico who are from Mexico, who are indigenous and all that stuff. But you wouldn't know that, because when you turn on the TV and you watch the Mexican TV shows, the Hispanic TV shows, you don't see any of them ever at all. You never see them. They never pop up on the Hispanic TV shows. In the Hispanic TV shows, all you see is the whitest of the white Mexicans. They look like straight up Caucasians. They might have a somewhat tan one as a side character, but the main characters are always white on those TV shows and those movies and all of that stuff. You wouldn't believe that they're dark skin or black. You wouldn't even believe that unless you actually have gone there and seen that in person. Because in their media, they never show them. That's how much they don't like them. All right. While they want to talk about some black and brown coalition and how much they love us when they come up here. No. So yeah, we're not gonna act like we don't know that. Let's get to Denzel, and then we're gonna get to Mackenzie.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm black and I'm 30. Pretty much all I wanted to come up here and say is that I think two things can
Sorry,
be true.
sir. Ethnic group, ethnic group. Your race is black. What is your ethnic group?
I'm black American. I'm from here, fundamentally black and black.
Thank you.
All I was just gonna say is that two things can be true at the same time. I will say is that I am disheartened by what's going on with ICE and what they're doing, like to legal citizens here, and I think that's really jacked up. But at the same time, what's upsetting me is I'm sick and tired of seeing the trends and people constantly looking towards black people and looking to make us the enemy in a situation that we didn't vote for. And constantly I just think that the anti-blackness is so like woven through everything that people don't even realize how how they treat us. Well, actually, no, that's not true. They do realize how they treat us. I think that essentially what I'm just getting at is that I'm tired of everybody looking to us and they're mad at us for white supremacy. They voted for this situation. They put themselves in this situation, and now they want black people to strap on a cape and be out there protesting. I think that as much as like as black people, we are here and we always want to be there and we want to fight for injustice and do stuff like that. I think that black people we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're staying home because unfortunately this is a pill that they gotta swallow. It's a pill that they gotta swallow. That at the end of the day, you are not white. Well, you're not their type of white, if that makes sense. And I think that's the issue that's going on. It's just and hopefully they get themselves together when it comes down to the next election, and they do that. But I think as of right now, I think that leave us alone. That's literally how I'm feeling. Leave us alone. That's it. I just wanted to land on that.
All right, thank you. Mackenzie, are you there? Mackenzie. Okay, she might not be ready. So we're gonna get to how do you pronounce your name, brother?
We
Kashik
call him Cash.
Cash.
Peace to the panel.
We
Hey,
got a
what's
lot of other people who want to join, so we might have to circle out a little bit in a little bit.
Drop me out.
okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me, Afro Elite. Shout out BX. Shout out King Vegeta. Familiar faces. King Simon. What's going on? Familiar faces.
Okay.
I'm chilling, brother. Man, everybody's making some very interesting points tonight. So
Great
I'll try to
Cash. Race and ethnicity.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So foundational Black American and Trini. So I'm bi-ethnic. Yeah. So, where do I start? It's so much, man. Okay, so let me tell you something. I grew up in Georgia. I've also lived in the Northeast. So, what the guy was saying earlier about New York didn't make any sense because I've heard the stories, growing up and stuff. Yeah, sure. Nowadays, it's cool to have a Puerto Rican friend or whatever. But, when I used to visit my family in New York in the summer growing up, first of all, it wasn't even a lot of Mexicans up there at the time. They really did not start migrating there until recently. Also, going back into the 70s and the 80s, Puerto Ricans was beefing with black people. So I don't know where he's getting the idea from. Plus, I lived in Brooklyn for about 6 years. So now let me take it down to Atlanta for a second. I had a Mexican friend in Atlanta, right? Uh, he was a good friend of mine, actually. Good guy, very cool. But he told me straight up, man. You know, we was drinking a little something after work. I don't think I could say it on TikTok. Um, but you know, we was chilling after work, and he told me, you know, you cool. It's just too bad that Mexicans and blacks don't get along like that. And I said, why is that? Why do you think that is? And he said, honestly, his parents and everybody in his family and community tell them to stay away from black people, and that black people are, you know, lazy and don't value education and are violent. But the main thing that really stood out was the lazy thing, because he repeated that. And so that stuck with me, you know, over the years. And I observe how I interact with Mexicans. And yeah, they really do think that about us for some odd reason. But anyways, my other point that I wanted to make is that Hispanics in general, not all of them, but many of them, if you go inside some of the Latino groups and stuff on social media, they're really planning on taking over this country and other countries as well. They're unaliving black people in the Caribbean as we speak. Um, Venezuela, I mentioned earlier in the comments, Venezuela is like threatening war with Trinidad and Tobago right now in the Caribbean. But let me bring it back to United States, right? Just to stay on topic. Uh, when it comes to these Hispanics, if they have this mentality, and a lot of them are coming to the U.S. and don't care, they're invading and you know, causing up a ruckus. We need to be prepared politically, physically, mentally, spiritually against these people. And what I want to see from us is to vote against those who have helped this problem to fester. And we all know who is behind it. You know what I'm saying? Do I need to say names? I think we all know. Uh, you know, I'm not telling you who to vote for or anything, but like we all know who helped this problem grow out of hand. You know what I'm saying? So, that being said, I ain't gonna ramble. I'll pass the mic.
Yep, appreciate you. All right, Mackenzie, are you back? Is Mackenzie back?
She might have got a call. Mackenzie is a returning panelist, so she might have got a call. She might have received a call. Sorry.
Well, all right, then we'll get to Simon and then Anna.
What's going on, brother? Sisters,
Just are you,
yeah.
you FBA just for the room, so we make sure everybody
Hell
knows.
yeah, I'm FBA Freedman. I'm verified.
I
Yeah,
know, but
yeah,
I just because everybody got to do it. So
yeah. I'm FBA. FBA Freedman. Banif. Um, yeah. I just wanted to. That everybody is on this. I agree with the panel was saying, but I can't help it that I just like be planning forward. This election season come around, I'm just on some. I gotta check everybody lineage because one thing these Hispanics is gonna do is it's gonna be mad, and I can't vote. I can't vote an immigrant into office, seeing that this is already the type of disdain that we're getting from us just saying like we never got support from y'all in the first place. I think they didn't think that we realized that in this country they put the needy around us as if we're the as if we're the as if we're the nursery. They put everybody around us as if we're the nursery and we have to feed everybody off our milk and our civil rights. But then the moment they get a little older, you know, they learn how to walk, they get a little they graduate high school, they get a little power. Now it's ripped the blackness away from you. Because once they get political, these people would never, ever vote for a policy that's going to help foundational Black Americans. They'll never write a policy out the bottom of their heart to just say, yeah, you know what, that specific group held me down when times was hard. That's not in the front of their mind. Um, Once they get to a certain position, a certain political seat. So my voting power is voting against every immigrant. I can't hold you. I've seen it enough. I could go to your Hispanic commerce in each of your cities. I could go to your um, Caribbean commerce in each of your cities. I could go to your African commerce, your Asian commerce, your Jewish commerce. Y'all all got I don't know how politically intact some of you people are, but when you go to your commerce are nonprofits that the government give money for businesses and all this other stuff. And it only gets to these certain businesses because of the Civil Rights Act of 1867. I mean, 1967, 1965. Like it don't, the Immigration Act, it don't get to these commerce for any other reason besides that one reason. When the Civil Rights Movement was going back and it was going on, and Black Americans was getting hit by water hoses and sicked on by dogs and all this protesting. Long story short, now when people learn how to run, they forget the hand that fed them. They forget the spoon that was handed to them. They're not going to support you because in all these Hispanic, Mexican commerce, um, they have scholarships, XYZ, this grants and all this, and guess what? Your Black ASS can't even apply for them. Your Black ASS cannot even fill out the grant and ask for it. But what they can do with yours, your Black grants and your Juneteenth grants and your scholarships that say Black, if anything, just say Black by itself, African American by itself. Oh, that's a for all. It's for all. That's how they play with the money here, and these people know that. But our elders and us in the beginning. Um, we've been so modest for so long. We've been a very modest people. We've been a very humble people. We never we never bragged about what we did. We never stood on our business and shot it in people's face. We never held it up on a banner like you wouldn't be here without us. I promise you, this is only recent. This is only like the past like 5 years, probably 7 years to some. For me, it's been like the last 5 years. Um, I mean, really having to stand on my lineage business and people's faces to let people know you can't use my ancestors to get by no more. You got to find your own heroes. And so in this specific position we in now, keep thinking 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, 3 years ahead. Don't get caught up in what's happened now because these people gonna want to spend. They're gonna want to spend. They're gonna be mad, and it's gonna be And the only thing they're gonna be able to spend about is when these political fear mongers come up. Watch who you vote for. Watch who is running in your city now. Because if we tired now, believe me, ain't no migrant ever gonna vote for us to be made whole for what our ancestors did for this globe. When I say globe, I mean world. So we need to get more political at this point. Run for office. Learn about your city boards and assemblies. Just Google your city boards and assemblies, and get in these seats because people gonna be jealous that we not playing the front line, and it's all because we won't. We because we're reserving our right to say no. We're simply just saying no. We're saying no. Simply saying no. They said they give everybody else the right to say no. Women's rights, migrant rights, LGBT rights. Everybody else get to say no. Ishi rights, Asian rights. Everybody get to say no. But the moment Black Americans say no, the moment Black Americans say I will not, I don't feel like I'm good this time. Now we and you know what, I can't even say now we in the titles. We've been in everybody titles for at this point. It's just we gotta accept that we're the chosen ones at this point. We really just gotta say we're the chosen ethnic group. We just gotta accept that. And at that point, understand that um it's never been unity with us. It's been how far would they allow me to walk up their ladder. And this time we pulled the ladder. There was probably halfway, three quarters up, and we pulled the ladder. Now they dangling on the side, whatever. All right, somebody catch them. I'm over here. And so I land with that. Understand all we did was say no, and we reserve our right to do just that. It's a right that we said no, and we preserving our energy, and we focusing on our own lineage. Thanks for having me up here, y'all. I land.
That's true. Um, Thank you all for the gifts. We appreciate it. Thank you so very much because that helps us do what we're doing here. So thank you. Let me get to Anna. Anna is next.
Hello, are y'all able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So,
I'm assuming your race is white Hispanic, right? White Mexican, I think.
no, I'm actually Afro Latina. My grandfather was a black man here from America that moved to Mexico when he was a teenager, and he bought a lot of land out there, met my grandmother, and started a family in Mexico.
Okay.
And I was born in Mexico, but I lived here all my life. My
Okay.
grand my grandfather, just like my father, they both came to work here in the fields to pick up vegetables, and they both came here with permits. They did everything legally. They were granted a green card because of their work, because they were good citizens, and of course, because they pay taxes. And um, and that's why I'm here. And I actually became a U.S. citizen when I turned 18, simply because I learned all of the laws. I was very educated, and the test was going to be easy for me to do. And sure enough, I passed it with 100. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I just want to tell you guys I'm truly sorry if you were ever affected by any racist nationality, any person that ever said anything harsh to you guys, because to me personally, it hurts me to see that, because coming from a family where we have so many different nationalities, I actually have an uncle who's African and lived in Mexico for many years, went to college there, and met my aunt there, and they married there. So it's very disappointing to hear. I know they're out there. I know there's plenty of Latinos out there that are racist, as well as any other nationality, excuse me, nationality. And to me, it just breaks my heart to see that, because there's a lot of us like me where, I look more, when you see me, people think I'm white, but I'm actually a Latina that was born in Mexico. And my mom, if you were to see her, she looks mixed. Her dad was a black man, so she looks more mixed. And I look more white than that. I don't know if it's because of my grandmother's side, but I understand, seeing from what my mom went through growing up, seeing how she was treated, that really
What
made
was your
me.
father's side? I'm sorry. What was your father's side?
My father is actually Arabic Mexican. So his dad was from Jordan, and his mom was from way down south Mexico. So she was more Mayan than Mexican. She's actually more indigenous. And so we have all kinds of nationalities in our family. I mean, my husband, he's from the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and so like I said, we have family all over the world. Now, the reason why I wanted to join this chat and just let you guys know, unfortunately, one thing I can say that we all have in common is there's a lot I'm not saying every single white man's like that, but there's a majority of them that want to destroy us, and they talk about us in the most ugliest way ever. And the reason why I say that, because my ex-husband, he's from Ohio. He's a Caucasian man. His parents were very racist. They were involved with KKK. And I mean, just hearing how they would speak about black men, Hispanics, any nationality. I felt disgusted. I was like, I don't even know why I'm married to this man because all his family hated me. And then the things they would say about not just me, but other nationalities was disgusting. And so that made me get more involved in movements to help all kinds of nationalities. And one of them that I did, we actually helped a lot of black kids that were being adopted illegally from different countries from Mormons that treated them like slaves. Literally
Okay.
had
For the sake of
and
time, and that's interesting. But I want to give everybody a chance to speak. So, what is your stance on the prompt?
I would say it just depends. You know what I'm saying? Because there is a lot of friends that I mean, most of my friends. I'm going to be honest with you. Most of my friends are black, and just like I've supported them, they support me because they know who I am, and not just me. There's a lot of Hispanics that we stick together. With black people. So I would say I stand with people that fight in unity, whether it's for Black Lives Matters or if it's for and the biggest thing right now is that what they're fighting for is people are doing it the right way. They're going through immigration and they're being set up and they're being illegally deported, and U.S. citizens are now being arrested. And that's the other thing that I'm kind of worried about myself because I live in the suburbs and I wouldn't be shocked if one of them calls immigration on me, even though I am a U.S. citizen. We've already been going
I'm gonna
through.
one moment, and I'm gonna ask you to kind of land. You did say a lot of things. I'm not sure if Afro would like to address them, but I would like y'all to know that BLM is we have new movements now. BLM served their purpose, and for the most part, this room doesn't follow BLM. We follow the hashtag Black Lives Matter because they do. But as far as the organization, we have our own issues with them. So we are foundational Black Americans, and our movement is delineation. So what delineation is actually group economics by another name. The Asians practice it, the Latinos practice it, the Black immigrants practice it. You get where I'm going with that? So
Mhm.
we are working on ourselves, our intra community population problems, issues, and advancing our lineage. So we're a lineage, and our movement is delineation. We're not following BLM's method. And BLM was to address police brutality, and somehow people think that was for every aspect of you know black people's issues. So they were designed for a certain purpose, and so I think that gets conflated in conversations. They were just battling injustices, which is very important, but there are other things, like we're demanding reparations. What is owed? They weren't a reparations group. You get it? So we don't really follow BLM. We do believe in the hashtag and the meaning of why it was created. But for the most part, we are following delineation at this time.
That's understandable.
Thank
So, do
you.
you think? And I tried to let you go. I don't want to cut nobody off. I want people to be able to flush their opinion out, but we've been kind of all over the place. Do you think, when it comes to Black Americans as a group, not just the people but as a group, we should protest in support of being anti-ICE for the Hispanic community?
I mean, everybody has a choice, so if you want to, then go for it, and if you don't, you don't have to. I mean, it's we're all here in a country where we thankfully have the freedom of choice. We can choose who we want to support, who we want to follow. I mean, I have friends, that support Trump, and I totally respect them. Just
Now,
like they were.
what's sorry, but that's interesting because that's not what you were saying in the chat room. Now, I want you guys to understand. I let her go on, and we went through damn near her whole family tree, and we've been listening for a long time. And I'm just waiting to hear the type of energy you had in the chat room, because the energy you had in the chat room, you was really anti what we was going on. You was talking about that there was a black and brown unity and all of this stuff. Then when you come up here, you acting like somebody invited you, like you didn't request to speak. And I'm still trying to figure out what your point really is. And I keep asking, what is your point? Well, I feel like anybody can do what they want to do. What'd you come up here to say? Because that's not what you were saying in the chat room, ma'am. So are you going to address what you were saying in the chat room, or do we have to move on?
Yeah, what I was saying in the chat room is because a lot of people were saying that, every Mexican is that way, and that's why I wanted to come here to give my history to let you guys know that not every Mexican is that way. And that's pretty much my whole point of letting you know who I am and where I come from, is to let you know that not every Mexican hates you. There's a lot of us that love you, and we would never think bad about you or say anything bad about you guys.
Which part, California or which state?
I'm from Texas.
Texas? Nah.
And okay, and what does that mean? I don't think anybody here is arguing that every single Mexican hates black people.
Well, no, it's just some of the statements that people were saying. They were saying that because they experience this, they feel like every Mexican is like that. And that's why I'm like, no, not all of us are like that. So that's why I was commenting, saying things like that, saying, no, we want to be a part of you. We want to help you. And we have. I mean, I personally have.
Okay.
I personally have. I've been part of movements that I can let you know about. And I mean, not just even that, but like, we don't say the N word. That's one thing that upsets me when I hear Latinos say that. And I call them out and I tell them, you know what, that's not correct, because you're a Latino. How would you like it if they called you a wetback? Or sorry, excuse my language, but
Yeah, don't say that.
yeah, but like I told them
No,
just like that. I'm like, how would you feel?
here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. The cause in and of itself of being like anti-ICE, we don't have to really follow and abide by the immigration laws of the country. We get to violate the immigration laws of the country, and we should be left alone. Okay, that's not a righteous cause, to be honest. Fighting, and now people compare this to the situation with Black Lives Matter. Fighting against police being able to abuse citizens with impunity and unalive citizens with impunity is not the same as saying we're fighting against the laws of the government being applied to us. Those are two completely different things. When people make that false equivalence between the whole Black Lives Matter protest and then the protest of anti-ICE, two different things. So we're saying that first off, that cause is really not a cause that affects us, and it's not really a right cause. If we're going to be honest about it, it's really not. And then when people hear like, okay, but no, we got to work together, we got to stick together and unify. And then when we say, you know what, let's actually speak about our experience, because what happens is when the Hispanic community needs some assistance, they like to get on camera and act like that they've been like this, locked in with Black America, and they haven't been. And then now we're getting up here and we're saying, no, actually, you guys have been doing this. It's not been one or two. Most of us who are on these panels are sitting up here telling damn near horror stories of Black people in our relationship with the Hispanic community. So we're not saying it's the entirety, every single one, but we are saying that we know for a fact y'all not going to be able to lie and trick us into making us seem like we've been living kumbaya, holding hands, skipping down the street the entire time, and now we just abandon you. Because there's a lot of Hispanics who are making videos acting like we switching up on them. And this is why we're talking about our experience. Nobody has the right to sit up here and act like we've been switching up on anybody. We've been the one trying to force a coalition. We've been the one trying to force a relationship, force a friendship. And they keep saying, and everybody, not just Hispanics, but everybody keeps saying, nah, we don't want nothing to do with y'all. And then when they need some help, they all like, hey, Black folk, what about that relationship? And nah, we cool at that point. So that's why we're getting up here talking about our experience. But thank you. We're going to move on to the next speaker. Thank you. Let's get to, how do you, Deliza?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Your race and ethnicity, please.
I am American. I am first generation here in the US, and
Mm.
my kids are second generation. And as the statement that you guys are talking about, I
Wait,
know.
hold on.
I don't.
What country?
Oh, Mexico. My parents are from Mexico.
Thank you.
And no, I don't think you guys need to join this protest because I think it does not concern you guys, and I understand that.
Okay, I respect that.
It's not the first. I This whole immigrant situation is not the first time that it happened. It's been processed all the way back, and I think we got it under control. I think we should each fight our own battle. It's not the first time. It is not gonna be the last time. The only thing I hate that is it's just Mexicans doing it. You see people with just Mexican flags, and Mexicans are not the only immigrants because this goes way back. Not way back. I mean, Trump is saying, Biden let this immigrants, millions and millions of immigrants through asylum, which is true, but it was just not Mexicans. There was Ukrainians, Indians, Asians. And when it comes to ICE, Mexicans are the only ones that actually stand up for the immigrants' fight. That's why I feel like Mexico is just more in people's mouths. I feel like the ones that should be with us in this ICE situation should be all immigrants, just not Mexicans. But not you guys, not the Black community. I grew up in South Central LA, so I don't have anything against the Black community. So yeah.
May I just say something,
Yeah.
Afro? Okay, so Delisa, we understand that Latinos, specifically Mexicans, are the face of immigration and whatever issues immigration has going on. So we get that. And I want you to know that maybe you don't see that Jamaicans got deported, Haitians recently got deported. There was a group of Africans that got deported. So sometimes we got to look at more than just our population because it's affecting our population and matters like this. So we do know. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. If you are Mexican or Mexican American or Latino, and we're just addressing you because you came up on the panel. Like, and if I think the Liberian came up, some Africans, and we have a Caribbean man here, I believe, and we'll speak to his community as he talks. So we understand. Y'all are just the face of it. I
No,
can agree with
yeah.
you on that.
No,
That is
it's
not
not
just
you
my
guys, but like if you
Mhm.
open up social media right now, it's just like Mexico flags, Mexico flags, Mexico flags. And it just makes it look bad. But I mean, we're the only ones there protesting, so that's why they only see Mexico. But I really wish all immigrants would come up with this ICE situation, just not Mexico. I feel like it'll be more crowd, and I don't know. We'll maybe have a better outcome than just Mexican protesting.
Let me ask you, what outcome are you trying to achieve? Do you hope to achieve?
The outcome, um, my parents are legal because they did things the correct way. Um, my The outcome, I feel like, because I'm not like, I know that ICE department exists for a reason, and it's something that has to happen. Any president that comes in has to do deportation because that's their job. That's how ICE agents get paid. But I wish Trump would just do it how every president has been doing it, the legal way. Not go in this big warehouses where people are working and things like that. There's databases, so why they don't use the database where they know the addresses where all this criminal immigrants are living? Why they don't go by that, like they've been doing it before? Another thing, a few years ago, they approved, I don't know if it was Obama, I don't know what president, but illegals could have driver license now. So they know where people, they know where people live. So why attacking and scaring the community by going to people's jobs and things like that? My outcome, just do it the correct way. I know deportations have to exist, but just do it the correct way. That's
I
the
mean,
only thing I'm asking.
is that incorrect to pick somebody up at the
One minute,
job rather
please.
than the house? I'm trying to see the big, like, the moral difference of picking somebody
Yeah,
up at a factory
yeah,
versus the house.
because if they would
Yeah.
do it the legal way, they would get served. You receive a letter like, "Hey, like you need to leave this country. If not, this is gonna happen. So you kind of just already know. Another thing,
1 minute, 1 minute. Let me address that. How do you know those people didn't get notices already before ICE was sent out?
it's I'm pretty sure it's everything right now, because I was just gonna point out, I'm sure there are probably people even deported that are already in the process, because it's not easy. You just don't, oh, I want the residence, and you apply. No, sometimes it takes you put in your application, and it could take up to 2, 3, 4 years. So unfortunately, I'm sure some people got deported that are already so close to having that status, and they weren't able to make it. It's going to be all types of situations. I don't think it's all people that got served. No, like I understand.
These are people that came in here illegally, right? And then they also have, as you said before, they have a different nation's flag waving around in America, on American soil. You also said that was an issue, right? So we, as Black Americans, not just Black people, we're Black Americans. We have a problem with that as well, because also what you guys are taught is very ignorant. I don't know if it's just the education system or whatnot, but you guys are taught that it was built by immigrants, when all of you should know better. Excuse me. It was built by us. Our ancestors.
I don't think that, I feel like there's racism in all parts of the world. I don't think that way. And but if you guys notice
Are you
in
sure?
television, I'm positive. I grew up in
Because
South LA. Like I grew up with Black people. I don't have anything against
well, I'm just saying. I
against
remember
that.
one time it was just pretty outrageous because of this one Black American was telling this other immigrant, apparently a Black immigrant, but actually a Afro Latino, to be honest with you, a Dominican.
Anna, I'm gonna drop you, Anna, because I'm gonna let other people up. So
Yeah.
have a good night.
I'm about to land this. But he said that he was speak English. And then it was just nothing, a bunch of quote unquote immigrants, I'm assuming. I don't know if they came here legally or illegally. They were all defending about, this person can speak wherever they want. There's no official language in the United States, and we all should know that it's definitely English. Even bypassing and not speaking English is, again, it's also disrespectful to the Black Americans ourselves, because of what we also went through in this history of ours, quote unquote, so-called ours, right? But y'all guys like to bypass that and think that you can just actually come through here and speak your own language and try to actually get away with it, and try to bypass actually speaking English on this U.S. soil.
Yeah.
That's some deep-rooted stuff that that's not really talked about. But I mean, it should be discussed, and that's why it's so anti-American within itself. It's an invasion. I'm
gonna let you land, Eliza, and then I'm going to let other people speak, because there's more people who want to come up, and I definitely want to keep things flowing. But to what you're saying, and I think that that's the part that we're not just really resonating with, because when you argue that deportation is necessary, and then you're arguing, okay, well, the way it's being done is wrong, and then when we ask for, okay, well, what is specifically being done that's wrong, that it kind of like you can't really land on anything, because most of these people who are coming, who are ICE is grabbing, and the way they have to grab them, that's because these people are dodging ICE.
Yep.
These people know that they're going to get deported, and these people are not going home. They're not going to their addresses. They're hiding out, and they're trying to avoid being deported. So if they're trying to, which is why ICE is a thing in the first place, to get people, because most of these people, where there's millions of people who don't follow immigration laws, and they're not going to self-deport. So ICE is an agency that actually does enforce those. So if people are hiding out, and if people are breaking the laws and changing their names and switching addresses and all of this stuff, then there are going to be people, agents, who are going to catch you. If the police have a warrant for you, they're going to get you at your job. They're going to get you at your house. They're going to get you wherever they're going to find you. You're not going to be able to say, like, okay, well, you can't pick me up at my house. That's not right. I mean, at my job, that's not right. No, if they got a warrant for you, they're coming to get you wherever you are. So that is
not doing
like
that. They're just
the
rating that as
argument
a
that you
thing.
do it at in public. Like this, that's
That's the
not really
thing.
nothing to
Like
protest about.
they're not really getting to those warehouses because, oh, I know he's working here. They're just is random rates. You know,
How do
they're
you
not.
know
They
that
don't.
though? How do you know it's random?
How do I know? I'm Mexican. Like I grew up being my parents being illegal. Like I under the reason that I'm for it is because
Did you say
I
your
remember.
parent? You grew up with your parents being illegal? Is
Yes,
that
they're
what
not
you?
residents, but I understand. Like as a
But
child,
I
when
thought
you
you
were.
said they came the legal way. Did I miss that? Did I get
I
that
thought she
wrong?
said that too. I don't know if it was her or Anna. I thought she said
No,
that.
It was
my parents are
Delisa.
now residents. They've been a resident for over
Now,
15 years.
So if that's the case, ma'am, then it's not random.
What do you
Do
See
you
what
mean?
I
understand that
mean?
ICE isn't just going to any old place like, hey, go look at that building? Like
They are.
that's not
They
effective.
are.
That's
They
no,
are
that's not
going to
effective.
random
They
places.
if they go to random places, you wouldn't be seeing people protest like that because they wouldn't be grabbing people and those people wouldn't be getting deported. The ICE knows that they have tips and agents and stuff, and they know that there's somebody in there or there are people in there who don't have documentation, who are there illegally. So we're not. It's not.
yeah.
They're not just randomly going into places. Is everybody in the building an illegal immigrant? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that nobody is.
And if that's the
Afro,
case, if that's the
But
case
one
we're
and
gonna
minute,
it's
let you
Diane.
speak
random,
when it's your turn to speak. So,
Diane, 1 minute. So, Afro, when a United States citizen, we could take
uh-huh.
foundational Black Americans, when there are warrants out for us, do they not come to our jobs,
They do, and this is how
into
I
our
know it because
homes?
the police do the exact same thing. And as a matter of fact, the police do it more. So I know, like, and we're sitting up there acting as if like this is why no, we can't resonate because the point being made, the argument being made that this is injustice is not clear. Because when we say, okay, is deportation necessary? Yes. So what is the problem? Well, it's not nice. Okay, well, I'm sorry that they're not doing it so nice, but you just
So,
argued
like
that it.
you say, it's not just Mexicans. It happens to foundational Black Americans too, except this is our country, so we don't get deported anywhere. But they come to our jobs and our homes if we break the law and have a warrant for us.
Yep. Now let me go to Deliza, is that you made your point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well thank you. So let's get to Rasta Pride. Make sure
Yeah,
I get to everybody. And then after that we'll
um,
get to Jazzy.
yeah. So I want to answer the question.
Wait, what's your race and ethnicity? You said Rasta Pride, so what are you,
Uh,
Caribbean, Haitian,
oh,
Jamaican?
so I'm Bahamian slash Trinidad,
Okay.
but I also have cousins in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Someone mentioned U.S. Virgin Islands. I have cousins from there also.
Hmm.
Um, so I want to answer the question of background. Is protest is for me, being that I'm black. This concerns every black person. No matter their ethnicity, just ethnicity, but
I
more
gotta
about
stop you.
all
It
black.
says Black
Yes, let him.
Americans. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
it
gonna tell
concerns
my
you.
based on my opinion, my way of thinking, right? So, um, this includes all black people within the Americas. You
Hmm.
know, so I'm concerned about all of them. So the Haitians are being deported. I'm concerned for them. The the Eritreans from Africa is some of them might be deported. So I'm concerned for them. The Somalis might be deported. So I'm concerned for them. The Sudanese is deported. So I might be concerned of them. And the Congolese is getting deported. So I'm gonna protest for them within this ICE thing,
Okay.
or whatever, right? Right. So that concerns me you know. So whenever I decide to go to Latino protest, right, it's because I'm standing against the people that is trying to deport my people. Also, I'm standing for that.
Okay. Now,
In
when you say
honor of that. In
every
honor of
black
that.
person, when you said it's all black people's problem, you're speaking in the term, when you use black in that instance, in that context, you're speaking in the terms of a race. Now, we know for
Diaspora,
a fact,
diaspora wise, diaspora.
majority of the people in America, according to the census, that are black are Black American, foundational Black American, freedmen, Sulani, all of that's us, most of us. You named a few ethnicities, quite a few, didn't name us because the threat of deportation is not affecting us. So when I'm asking,
I said black in America.
how is it our
All blacks in
concern? How is
America.
it our concern to fight ICE, or why should we be fighting ICE when everybody is giving a reason as to how it affects them in their particular community?
No, brother. I said all blacks in America. Didn't you hear me?
Okay,
I said all
so
blacks in
as a
America.
Black person in America, how is this my fight?
Because you're a black person in America, born in America.
But
It's
I'm
your
not
fight.
ICE. ICE is not my concern. Why should ICE be my concern?
The other, your ancestors, your people are getting deported, so it is your concern.
My people, okay, let's say Black people, right? Why are Black people?
Give me your
Why are?
DNA
Hold
test.
on,
Give me your
listen.
DNA
Why
test. Give
are,
me your
sir?
DNA test. It can show
Why are?
Congolese
I'm
people,
not,
right?
sir.
Don't
If you
crash
don't
out,
stop,
sir.
if you don't stop, why are other Black people from other ethnicities here illegally?
Some of them are illegal or not,
And you
they
said you're
get
from
deported.
Trinidad and where else? Or
I'm
you're
half Bahamian, half Trinidadian.
okay. So if we were to go to either one, right? If I was to go to Trinidad for a vacation or something like that, and I said, you know what? I'm just not leaving, and nobody can make me. What do you think the Trinidadian government would do?
Well, okay. So if you went there and you say that and they asked you to leave, but you said no, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, it will depend on why they say no. It will depend on why they say no. Did you commit a crime? Were you there? You know, just pop up out of nowhere and just come there. It depends on why they're saying no.
It would
That makes it
depend.
right or wrong. That makes it right or
Okay.
wrong. You know.
So I can dictate to the government what's right or wrong for me to be in their country, right?
If you were suffering and you just came into the country looking for land, and wanted to stay there because you were suffering from an injury or something else, then it's naturally okay to be there.
So
But
if the government asks me to leave and I tell the government, no, I'm not going, they would leave me alone?
so some of them might be nice. Yeah, they might be nice that you stay for a while and then tell you to go out.
So they would
That,
eventually tell me to leave, right?
probably yes, but after you
Okay,
got
is that
clear,
not
after you got
now?
clear.
Is that not all Black people's fight then? Even though, first off, you're being way too lenient on the fact that they would give me any grace, but okay, let's say they would give me a little bit of grace. Now, it's all Black people's fight when you all are being deported out of America, but if I was getting deported out of Trinidad, that's my problem, right? That wouldn't be all. It wouldn't be the whole thing where all Black people you need to unite because I'm not supposed to be there. But yet, when it's
You gotta
America, even though you're not supposed to be in America, now it's a all Black people issue. Even though most Black people don't have to worry about it.
you gotta understand.
Can I ask you another question? Just real quick. Do you think that the Trinidadian citizens would be fighting on behalf of me staying in their country illegally?
Yes, if based on the condition of yourself. If okay,
If the
if
condition, brother,
hold on. If the locals saw that you were hurt or injured in any way coming from a different country, right? But the government said still you have to get out of here, right? The locals will be mad at the government because our mindset is that we was brought up to care for one another, care for our elders. You know, we're brought up differently than Americans. You know,
let's
so
say
they'll be
that's
more caring, more
let's
caring.
say if I'm hurt, that I guess that changes the immigration law for whatever reason. But I'll give you that.
You're using
Let's
too
say
much
that.
hyper-protecticals. You're using too much
But okay, but
hyper-protecticals.
let's say that if you're hurt, then that makes some type of exception to immigration where it extends it or whatever. You earlier just said that they might let you stay for a little bit, but you cannot stay forever. Let's say I said I'm never going to leave. There's nothing you can do. I'm going to live here for the rest of my life. It's not because I'm hurt. I want to have a house here. I want to have a business here. I want to have all of this stuff, and I'm never planning to leave. Do you think that the Trinidadian citizens would be fighting for my right to stay here and never leave against their government?
Well, some of them will say if he's acting correctly, then it's okay to stay here. And others will say, no, he must leave. The locals they might say, you must leave. You don't belong in our country. But
You're being,
the
you're
other,
not, come on,
yeah,
brother,
no,
you know you're not
some
being
of them,
honest. You know you're
everyone
not
doesn't
being
think,
honest. Come on now.
no,
Come on
everyone
now.
doesn't think the
You have,
same.
okay,
Everyone
I
doesn't think the
gotta, hold
same.
on. Because you have never seen, and I'm asking you questions and you dodging, because you've never seen any other group of people fight their own government on behalf of people to stay and live in a country outside of the law. You've never
Can I give
seen
you an
a group
example?
of people do
Can I
that.
give you an
And
example?
Trinidadians don't do that. Everybody, when folks get deported from Trinidad and they get deported from the Caribbean, you don't see those citizens sitting up there fighting and protesting against deportation. You don't see that. What are you talking about? It
Can I
depends on if
give
you
you an example?
and the government don't care if you injured or not. You got a time limit to be here. If you exceed that time limit, you gone.
Can I give you an example? Okay, those Haitians, they were Haitians, right? They got off a boat. It was like 2 weeks ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? They got off a boat, right? It was on TikTok. I can even show you the video. But they got off of TikTok. I mean, they got off of the boats from Haiti. Those fleeing from Haiti because their country was in turmoil, you know. So they got off the boat. They end up in somewhere in Montego Bay, Jamaica, right? And there were some people protesting near the sand that they don't belong in Jamaica. They don't belong. We have too much problems in Jamaica already. You know, we don't need any more problems. And there was this other group saying no. Their country is already in shambles. And it's okay for them to come and live here. You know, come and live here if they're behaving and all that stuff, right? So that's what I'm saying. Everyone is not the same within the country. So some people might say be hospitable and tell them to come in. Others will protest and disagree.
Allowing, and I feel like that's a false equivalency, because allowing a refugee,
Protesting though.
let's let the trolls. I want you guys to see the trolls. Don't block. Just look at the trolls and look at how they're responding to us saying we're going to mind our business. Just pay attention to it. Allowing a refugee to stay in your country because they're going through something is something other countries do, but that's a totally different equivalent to somebody saying, hey, I like your country and I'm just going to live here forever. That's not the same thing. But that's what a lot of these people are coming up here doing. They're saying, you know what? I like America. I like the economy. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to have a house. I'm going to have a family. I'm going to have a business. And I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. That's not the same thing. And even though there might have been, and I'm going to take your word for it, that there might have been a small group of people who were welcoming because there were Haitian refugees, that's not them saying that there should be no border authority and nobody should be able to enforce a border over their country. There is literally nowhere else in the world where you have people saying we should get rid of all of our immigration laws and anybody can just come in and stay. Nobody else fights against that because it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense.
This is showing when there's certain people that is being hospitable and telling them to come in. This is showing that these people are more prone to welcome people that are suffering.
Now, let me go back to my original point. Right? Do you think if I was to go to Trinidad and they were going to deport me and my family, do you think that the Trinidadians would look at that as their problem?
No, they're going to say that it's a foreign issue, like with anyone, not just you.
So they wouldn't look at it as their problem. But you came up here. First off, you were silent for a minute, but you came up here and you're trying to convince me that it's our problem and Black Americans that it's our problem. But if we were to go over there and get deported, they wouldn't look at that like it's their problem. So
Good.
why should we look at it any differently?
Okay,
If you know for a fact they wouldn't look at it that way. So why should we look at it that way?
okay, let's go back to America, in the Americas, right? Let me go back to the topic, right? So with the indigenous people, right? They are actually indigenous to this country, right? No white man, no black man cannot tell them that they shouldn't be here. They don't have a right to. It doesn't matter about the rules that they make up. It doesn't matter about none of that. It's their land and their ancestral land. It's, no rules cannot tell them that they cannot be here. It's their land. The white people should go back to Europe. They should be deported. They should be deported. All white people, white Americans, should be deported back to their motherland. Every black person of African descent should go back to their motherland and fix their motherland.
What government
Indigenous
is going
people,
to enforce that?
indigenous
That
lands belong to
deportation?
indigenous people only.
Okay, here's the difference with that, and people make that argument. Then we're going to move on. People make that argument. This land was not America. Okay, the people you all
Turtle
are saying
Island,
that
Turtle Island.
listen, the indigenous people here. Now we're going to be honest. The indigenous people here, right? They were here. There was a lot of different indigenous groups of people. It wasn't. We make it seem like it was only one or two. There were a whole bunch of different tribes and different types of indigenous people here. Then you had the colonialism. Then you had the building of America from my ancestors. My ancestors built America. There was no America. That means building the economy for the entire nation, and then building that so much so that they can establish a government for the entire nation that did not exist prior, because there were different places with different governments. Now the whole country is under one government, and that's the American government. All right. So since we are in America now, what government is going to enforce? There's no prior government that's going to enforce that Americans be deported. This is America.
Okay, so just because the creation is of the African ancestors, right? The creation is of them, right? But it does not mean that the land is of us. Just because we created something on foreign lands,
First off,
it doesn't mean that we are now indigenous.
You're not.
It does not mean
Okay,
that
no,
we are connected to
we're
the
not
land.
even going to do that. We're not going to do that. Thank you,
It
sir.
doesn't mean that we were connected to the land. It does not mean
Thank you,
that.
sir.
Right. So when you say we, you're not our we.
Yeah, he's
The
speaking.
creation
I say
is
we.
for us.
Jazzy,
When I say we, or Afro says we, that's me and Afro. You're not a part of ours. You are a Caribbean,
You're
sir.
African
You are
descent.
not a Black American. And I'm Black American, okay? And I have some Euro and some Indigenous and some Southeast Asian. There is not one fix to a Black American. Y'all got to stop painting us with a broad brush, because we are an amalgamated ethnic group, a fairly new one, but indigenous to the America. United States of America, because of what the ancestors in Africa did to mine. So when you talking about we got to go back to the motherland, we ain't going. My ancestors didn't go back. They fought to change and make America a better place for us. And we extended that grace to y'all, but now y'all overdoing it. And this is for the black immigrants and for the Latinos too. If you're coming over here gentrifying us out of our areas and expecting stuff after being anti-black for so long to us.
Now, hold on,
I'm a land.
look, don't block him, but just look at him
I'm not.
in the chat room talk about crying. Chat room,
I
did
have
I
rebuttal
not
for him.
let him have enough time to make whatever point he was trying to make? For he was stuttering, he was pausing, he didn't know what to say, he was lying. Because they ain't sitting up there fighting for nobody. It depends on if you're injured. If your leg hurt, you get to stay a little bit longer. If your knee hurt, you get to stay somewhat. That don't work that way. And we know better. But I let him talk and I let him talk. And yeah, you're not going to convince us. And well, what about us all being deported? That's not happening. And it's not our fight. Just like I said, would it be Trinidadians' fight? He said no. They wouldn't look at it like their fight. If we went to their country and got deported, we wouldn't be able to make the case to them that this is concerning you too. We wouldn't be able to go anywhere in the world and make the case to the native population that it's their fight for me as a foreigner being deported. We would never be able to do that. Not in Barbados, not in Trinidad, not in the Caribbean, not in Africa. I wouldn't be able. I'm your black brother. They wouldn't. They'd be all like, yeah, but you're a foreigner. So that's not my concern.
Hey, yo, what up, Afro?
It was
I,
good.
Wait, can I speak?
Yeah, go
I,
ahead,
I,
Juicy.
yeah, you can go ahead. My bad. I ain't got long. I just got a little break, but you can go ahead.
Okay. So, first of all, in regards to Rasta, I don't know how many people are familiar with this, but there was the case of like Nature Boy who got convicted in Atlanta, right? He was running this little group of like free nature folk. They got deported out of Belize. They got deported out of Costa Rica. This is a black man. This is a whole tribe of black people. They got deported out of Costa Rica. They got deported out of Honduras. And then they also got deported out of Mexico.
Mm,
Okay. Just repeatedly, every country just kept deporting them for the stuff that they were doing. Didn't nobody
mm,
fight to keep them there or let them stay there or any of that. And you can look all this up on YouTube and or even just Google Nature Boy and you'll see that this happened to their little tribe. Their tribe was called Melanesian. Okay. Second rebuttal to Rasta is you say we come from Africa, right? Okay, we come from the continent of Africa. BX mentioned how we are basically a mixed people, right? Every single country that is within our blood, we have to prove some type of ancestry or DNA ties to that country. And we also have to have a native of that country sponsor us for us to immigrate there and for us to be qualified for citizenship there. We cannot sneak into their country. We can't go to their country and just leave and just stay there. We got to go follow their rules to buy property. We got to follow their rules to establish a business. They don't just say, oh, you get to come here because you are indigenous to this land. They say, no, you need to prove it. And then you need to do this paperwork. And then you need to pay these fees. And then you need to pay these taxes. And you also need to make sure that there is a person who is here that is native to here that's going to vouch for you. They don't consider us native to various African countries that are in our DNA because we are 500, 600, 700 years removed. So what are you talking about? We can't even do that in the motherland. But you think that you can come to America and do that, and that don't make no damn sense at all. What I see repeatedly is y'all not wanting to respect the boundaries of this land. That don't make no sense. Also, when you said that we all need to be concerned about stuff because we all black, I don't be seeing y'all concerned about black American issues at all. At all. The ethnos group that I'm a part of in regard to black Americans is Gullah Geechee. We have been fighting the freaking colonizers over our land that our enslaved and newly emancipated ancestors purchased.
mm.
Okay, we done been wrapped up in that battle in court with them for 20 years now. So I didn't see none of y'all come and say, "Oh, let's help the Gullah Geechee keep their land because they black." I didn't see none of y'all nowhere around caring when they sitting up here gentrifying our neighborhoods. Where y'all at? Okay, I've seen some of the Latinos talking about they're separating innocent families and children, et cetera, et cetera. Do y'all know that DCF and CPS has been found guilty of human rights violations against the black community in 2022? President Biden admitted to systemic and structural racism. The head of DCF, the Department of Children and Families, admitted to systemic structural racism that disproportionately took black children away from their parents. Okay, the countries present, China was present, UK was present. Okay, all these countries was there, and they called America to the forefront and said, "Y'all are removing their kids. Y'all have no proof, no evidence that substantiates why y'all removed their kids." And one out of every 41 black child has their parental connection to their parents severed. None of y'all cared. They've been carting our kids off since the 80s. And none of y'all made a peep about it. Not a peep about it. Then how many judges, and the black Americans, y'all know I ain't lying about this. How many judges got popped for taking our kids and putting them in cages
so that they could line their pockets through for-profit mass incarceration. I didn't hear none of y'all talking about that. They snatching them out of middle schools and locking them down. They putting our 10-year-olds in handcuffs. I didn't hear none of y'all say nothing about that. They putting a 7-year-old girl in handcuffs. In handcuffs. Okay? I didn't hear nothing from y'all when that was taking place at all. We had to fight mass incarceration on our own because y'all thought we deserved to be there because we're black and we're criminals and we're thugs and we're deadbeats and we're baby mamas. Y'all didn't raise not one fuss about this happening to us at all. The young lady wasn't Anna. No, it wasn't Anna. Was her name start with a D? She was like, oh, they need to do it in a nicer way. They need to do it in a nicer way. Man, CPS be knocking on black people's door with the police behind them, kicking in our shit and snatching our kids. Okay? The police, they come and lay us all on the ground at the juke joint. Y'all did not know what was going on in black neighborhoods at all. At all. They get a tip about something. Karen called the police on the cookout and they put all of us on the ground for no reason and search us, and they was planting drugs on us and all kinds of stuff that we weren't even doing. And when we
Don't say
told y'all,
the
we,
D,
oh,
the D.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, playing candy on us, and we wasn't even doing it. And when we shouted to y'all and said, "Hey, they framing us, they framing us," they say, "No, they not." Because y'all thugs and y'all criminals, and y'all told us to comply. Y'all told us to comply to injustice. And we kept saying it was injustice. And what happened? And what happened, host? Every time we started suing people, we won every lawsuit. We won every single lawsuit for the violation of our civil rights that we told y'all were being violated, and y'all didn't care because y'all thought that we deserved it. Y'all thought that that's what was supposed to happen to us, and that's why y'all want us out in the street. Oh, let me hit this too. When y'all talked about BLM, we supported y'all in BLM. No, y'all showed up in BLM to be tethers, okay, to ride our coattails because the Hispanic community was experiencing police brutality too. They was unaliving y'all too. They was incarcerating y'all too. They was raiding y'all too. And y'all was like, okay, how can we get in this? I can show you the article on New York Times of them literally saying it, of them literally saying it. So when y'all said, oh, we showed up at BLM, that wasn't our fight.
She must have got a phone call.
Yeah,
Lastly, before I go, I'm gonna say this, okay? Y'all didn't talk about how in LA, in Texas, in Florida, and in New York City, okay, y'all was running black people out of their neighborhoods with violence. Y'all was gentrifying. How LA and California got such a large Hispanic population is because y'all had gangs, okay? The Mexican mafia was literally popping black people for no reason. No reason. Terrorizing them in schools. The kids couldn't even go to school. Y'all had an unalive black people day. But y'all ain't talk about that. Y'all want to get up here and act confused and say, oh, we had a brown and black coalition. We had this, we had that. No, you didn't. You didn't have none of that stuff. You were terrorizing them people. You was displacing them people. You was gentrifying them people. And to this day, there are whole neighborhoods that black people can't even step foot in because y'all won't sit up there and send them on to Jesus. Stop getting on this internet lying. For y'all to have 75% of the black community to say no because y'all was anti-black and y'all was beating on us and y'all was doing this to us and y'all was doing that to us. Y'all burning crosses in our yard dang near. And y'all to get up here and phony kick it and play and lie in our face. Y'all mad disrespectful, and I won't be putting my life, my kids' life, or any of my brethren's life on the line for y'all. Y'all need to start being real about what y'all was doing. You need to treat people right all the time, not just when you need us. You need to treat us right all the time. Because as I see it, the chickens have come home to roost. Y'all anti-blackness has caught up to y'all. Have caught up to y'all. And sayonara, bon voyage. Have a safe flight home. And I land my plane.